came out right-handed. He didn't come out southpaw. He came out right-handed.
Right.
And stood straight up. That first round was, I decided not this didn't work. And also, I didn't know what I had left, so I'm like this. I'm nervous. And then I pop. This is still working.
When Sugar Ray Leonard stepped into the ring against Marvin Hagler in 1987, he carried a secret that would shock the boxing world. Most people thought Leonard had no chance against the powerful middleweight champion. They were wrong about everything. What Leonard knew about Hagler, and what he had planned all along, was something nobody could have imagined. The truth about what really happened that night, the hidden strategy that changed boxing history, and the shocking revelation Leonard would later make about fighting Marvelous Marvin when uttering the words, "I'll never forget." This is the story of how one man's darkest moment became his greatest triumph. The beginning that almost never was. Back in 1981, everything seemed perfect for a showdown between two of boxing's biggest stars. Marvin Hagler was the king of the middleweight division, crushing opponents like Vito Antuofermo and Mustafa Hamsho with his deadly punching power. Meanwhile, Sugar Ray Leonard was making waves by beating Ayub Kalule and then destroying Thomas Hearns in an epic battle that left fans screaming for more. The boxing world was buzzing. Everyone wanted to see these two champions fight. It felt like destiny was calling, and the match seemed certain to happen. But then something unexpected occurred that would change everything. After Leonard's routine title defense against Bruce Finch in 1982, disaster struck. During training, Leonard suffered a detached retina, a serious eye injury that threatened not just his career, but his vision itself. The doctors worked hard to fix the damage, and the surgery was successful. But the injury scared Leonard deeply. At a special ceremony in Baltimore, with Marvin Hagler standing right there watching, Leonard shocked everyone. The crowd waited with excitement, thinking he would announce the fight everyone wanted to see. Instead, Leonard looked at Hagler and said that a battle with this great champion would be one of the greatest fights in history. Unfortunately, it'll never happen. The disappointment was crushing. Hagler and his managers, Pat and Goody Petronelli, had been expecting Leonard to announce their mega fight. Instead, they watched as their biggest payday walked away. What they didn't know was that this moment would create a tension between the two fighters that would last for years. Hagler never forgave me for the Maryland event, Leonard would later reveal. The seed of something much deeper had been planted, and it would grow into one of the most intense rivalries in boxing history. The comeback that changed everything. Less than 2 years after his retirement, Leonard shocked the boxing world again. He announced he was coming back to fight, telling reporters he wanted to pick up exactly where he left off. More importantly, he made it clear that he was looking forward to eventually facing Marvin Hagler. The boxing world went crazy with excitement. Leonard was also preparing for a comeback fight against Kevin Howard, a tough but not championship-level opponent. It seemed like the perfect warm-up for the Hagler fight everyone still wanted to see. But then the eye problems came back. Doctors found that the retina in Leonard's right eye was loose again. Once more, he needed surgery. The operation was successful, and doctors cleared him to box, but the eye issues had become a huge worry for Leonard and everyone around him. Against Kevin Howard, something shocking happened that nobody expected. For the first time in his entire career, Sugar Ray Leonard was knocked down. The crowd gasped as their hero hit the canvas. Leonard got back up and eventually won the fight by stopping Howard in the 9th round. But something felt different. Immediately after the fight, Leonard announced his second retirement. The boxing world was confused and disappointed. Here was their superstar, walking away again just when things were getting exciting. But looking back years later, Leonard would reveal something that nobody knew at the time. The shocking truth wasn't really about his eye at all. My ophthalmologist told me after the operation that it was a success, Leonard later admitted. But there were millions of fans, plus my family and friends, who said that I could go blind. The real problem was fear, not just of getting hurt, but of what people thought. Leonard explained that while his doctor said the chance of re-injuring his eye was very small, he was scared of becoming like other boxers who came back 1 or 2 times too many. Against Kevin, mentally I wasn't there, Leonard confessed. I was an overwhelming favorite, and I do better when I am considered an underdog when the odds are against me. At my best, I would have beaten Kevin easily. This revelation showed that even the greatest champions struggle with doubt and fear. But Leonard's shocking truth about fighting Marvin Hagler was still buried deep inside him. The dark times nobody knew about. While Leonard was struggling with his retirement, Marvin Hagler was becoming a bigger star than ever. He fought Thomas Hearns in what was called The War, and it lived up to its name. The first round was absolutely incredible, both fighters throwing bombs at each other with unbelievable fury. Hagler stopped Hearns in the third round, and suddenly he was the biggest name in boxing. Meanwhile, Leonard was dealing with problems that nobody in the public knew about. The shocking truth about this period in Leonard's life would later reveal just how dark things had gotten. I was angry and sad and wanted to maintain the image that I had, Leonard later admitted. It made me a miserable ex-champion. But it got worse than just being unhappy. Leonard revealed that during this time, he met people who introduced him to cocaine and alcohol. This was the shocking truth that Leonard had kept hidden for years. While fans thought he was just dealing with eye problems, he was actually battling addiction. That was a major reason why friends and family members didn't want me to come back, he explained. Plus, they saw Hagler annihilating everyone. Leonard remained away from boxing, getting deeper into drugs and alcohol, while Hagler continued to dominate. After a long break, Hagler defended his title against John the Beast Mugabe in March 1986. It was a brutal and exciting fight that saw Hagler stop one of his toughest opponents after 11 hard rounds. But something happened during that fight that would change everything. Leonard was watching from the audience, and he saw something that made his heart race with possibility. For the first time in years, Leonard saw a weakness in the seemingly invincible Marvin Hagler. I saw something that I felt I could take advantage of, Leonard later revealed. Mugabe was outmaneuvering Hagler, outboxing him. Sitting there in the audience, dealing with his own personal demons but seeing Hagler struggle against Mugabe's boxing skills, Leonard had a realization. And suddenly all the beer that I was drinking said that I could beat him. The seed of an idea was planted. The phone call that shocked everyone. After watching Hagler struggle against Mugabe, Leonard couldn't get the fight out of his head. He had seen something in Hagler's performance that gave him hope. Hope that he could do what nobody thought was possible. Leonard picked up the phone and called his manager, Mike Trainer. What he said next would shock the boxing world and set up the most controversial fight in history. I told him I wanted to fight Hagler, Leonard recalled. His manager's response was immediate and concerned. Are you drinking? Leonard had to admit the truth. I told him I was, but I was also serious. This wasn't just the alcohol talking. Leonard had seen something real in that Hagler-Mugabe fight. I saw something that I knew, if I was right, I could take advantage of. But Leonard went deeper than just seeing a weakness. He revealed that this fight was different from anything he had ever felt before. I just couldn't get the same excitement for when I fought Howard. This was different. There was something else driving Leonard, something that he later admitted was crucial to his preparation. And fear was also a factor in preparing to win against Marvin. Fear, the same emotion that had driven him to retire twice, was now pushing him back into the ring. The boxing world exploded when the fight was announced. The super fight was set for April 7, 1987. Hagler opened as a 4-1 betting favorite, but many people of winning. But Leonard had already started playing psychological games that nobody fully understood at the time. He did something that shocked everyone. He gave up the larger purse in exchange for getting to choose the gloves, the number of rounds, and the size of the ring. Most people thought Leonard was crazy for giving up millions of dollars, but Leonard knew exactly what he was doing. He was setting up the fight on his terms, not Hagler's. Leonard had studied Hagler for years, and he knew that the bigger ring would help his movement. The extra padding in the gloves would protect his hands, but also reduce Hagler's punching power. And 12 rounds instead of 15 would favor Leonard's speed over Hagler's strength. When I retired, Hagler felt that he was the man, Leonard later explained. He was doing commercials, endorsements, He told me I missed out on a lot, and he really felt that way. But Leonard was playing a much deeper game than anyone realized. His shocking revelation about the mental battle was just beginning. The mind games begin. Leonard understood that the fight would be won or lost before they ever stepped into the ring. "I never said anything condescending about Hagler, just the opposite," Leonard revealed. "I didn't want to give him any additional motivation to want to beat me up." This was psychological warfare at its finest. Leonard actually praised Hagler in interviews, saying things like, "Marvin is a better boxer than people give him credit for." On the surface, it seemed like Leonard was just being respectful, but Leonard was actually setting a trap. At one of the press conferences, Leonard listened carefully as Hagler spoke to reporters. Then Hagler said something that made Leonard's heart jump with excitement. "I may outbox Ray," Hagler declared confidently. "Right then, I knew I had him," Leonard later admitted. Hagler had fallen into the psychological trap. Leonard knew that Hagler's greatest strength was his aggressive, powerful fighting style. But by getting Hagler to think about outboxing him, Leonard had planted a seed of doubt. Hagler was now thinking about changing his natural style to beat Leonard at his own game. Meanwhile, Leonard was preparing for the fight in ways that nobody knew about. He later revealed that he trained for over a year for the Hagler fight. "I cut back on drugs and drinking. I was clean," he said. Leonard was dealing with his addiction while preparing for the biggest fight of his life. But one of Leonard's biggest concerns about fighting Marvin Hagler included another secret that he kept hidden for years. "When you are away from boxing, you lose that ability to take a punch," Leonard explained. "Most fighters won't admit that." The challenge was enormous. Leonard wasn't just coming back to fight anyone. He was coming back to face the most dangerous puncher in boxing. "Coming back when you are about to face an unorthodox fighter is very difficult," Leonard admitted. But the psychological games were working. His body was getting ready, and he had seen something in Hagler that gave him hope. As fight night approached, something interesting happened. The betting odds dropped from 4-1 to 3-1. The public was starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, Leonard had a chance. The night everything changed. Fight night arrived, and Caesar's Palace was packed with celebrities and boxing fans from around the world. Frank Sinatra, Joan Collins, Chevy Chase, and Bo Derek were all at ringside. The entire boxing world was watching to see if Leonard could pull off the impossible. As he walked to the ring, Leonard felt the weight of everyone's expectations. Most people were there to see Hagler destroy him. But Leonard had one more psychological trick up his sleeve. He had told his corner before the fight to let him know when there were 30 seconds left in each round. This might seem like a small thing, but Leonard's shocking revelation was that this simple strategy would help him win the fight. "They did every time, and that way I knew to finish each round strong," Leonard explained. "I would throw a series of combinations at that point, and it was effective." Leonard was planning to steal rounds in the final 30 seconds when judges pay the most attention. When the opening bell rang, something shocking happened that nobody expected. Hagler came out fighting in an orthodox stance instead of his usual southpaw position. Leonard couldn't believe it. Hagler was doing exactly what Leonard had hoped he would do. "It was the first round that unlocked the door," Leonard later said. "He knew he did wrong and made a mistake the way he fought me." Hagler had fallen into Leonard's psychological trap completely. Leonard took advantage immediately, landing rights to the body and left hooks to the head. He won the first 2 rounds clearly on all 3 judges' scorecards. Leonard's corner was relaxed and confident. "I looked in the audience and felt very confident," Leonard remembered. "The first 4 rounds I started well." Leonard's plan was working perfectly. In the 3rd round, Hagler's trainer Goody Petronelli told him to switch back to southpaw. Hagler started to find his rhythm and landed some good shots. In the 5th round, Hagler caught Leonard with a hard uppercut that stopped him in his tracks. "When I got buckled by Hagler's uppercut in the 5th, people got freaked out," Leonard recalled. But Angelo Dundee would say, "Quiet, quiet." Leonard's corner knew the plan was still working. The middle round saw Hagler take control, using his strength and pressure to wear Leonard down. Rounds 8 and 9 were filled with furious exchanges. In the 9th round especially, Hagler landed heavy shots with Leonard's back against the ropes. But Leonard's shocking revelation about fighting Marvin Hagler was that he knew exactly what he was doing. Even when he was getting hit, Leonard was following his plan perfectly. The final truth emerges. In the 10th round, Leonard began to take control again, moving more and landing his left hook, the punch that was becoming his most effective weapon. Leonard could see that Hagler was getting tired. The older fighter's punches were losing their snap, and Leonard was getting fresher as the fight went on. This was exactly what Leonard had hoped would happen. In the 11th round, Leonard landed rights to the head and left hooks both upstairs and down. He was clearly winning the round while Hagler seemed to be fading. Leonard's year of preparation and his psychological strategy were paying off. Before the 12th and final round, Leonard's trainer Angelo Dundee gave him the words that would become legendary. 3 minutes, new champion. Leonard stood up and raised his hands in his corner before the bell even rang. Meanwhile, in Hagler's corner, Goody Petronelli was desperate. He told Hagler, "We need it bad. Do it for everybody. This is critical. Don't stop until he's down." "As a fighter, you know when you are winning or losing," Leonard later explained. "And I knew I was winning this fight." The final round was where Leonard's shocking revelation became clear to everyone watching. Hagler was desperate to score a knockout, but Leonard had taken his power away. The bigger ring, the extra padding in the gloves, and the psychological warfare had all worked perfectly. Leonard landed again with his left hook, and then with a minute left in the fight, he began playing to the crowd. He started dancing around the ring, pumping his right fist in victory, and even did an Ali shuffle. Leonard had known all along that he could win. All the preparation, all the mind games, all the strategy had been leading to this moment. When the final bell rang, Leonard raised his arms in triumph. The crowd roared as the impossible had happened. Minutes later, Leonard was declared the winner by split decision in one of boxing's biggest upsets ever. 2 judges scored the fight close, 115 to 113 for Leonard and 115 to 113 for Hagler. But the third judge, Jojo Guerra, had Leonard winning by a lopsided score of 118 to 110. Out of 25 ringside writers, 13 scored for Leonard, 6 for Hagler, and 6 called it a draw. Leonard had done something that nobody thought was possible. "No one thought I had a chance," Leonard said. "No one thought I could win. Even my brother Roger thought Marvin would win." The aftermath and hidden truth. After the fight, Hagler was angry and disappointed. He believed he had won and that the decision was wrong. "I beat him and he knows it," Hagler said. "They stole it." But Leonard revealed something that most people missed. Leonard noticed that Hagler was acting strangely before the decision was announced. Instead of looking confident about winning, Hagler was clowning and dancing in the ring, something completely out of character for the usually serious Marvelous Marvin. Hagler was acting strangely prior to the decision being announced, Leonard observed. This behavior suggested that maybe Hagler knew deep down that he had lost the fight, even if he wouldn't admit it publicly. Leonard had proven that intelligence and strategy could overcome pure power and aggression. Leonard put the fight in perspective by talking about the golden era of boxing he was part of. "I fought in the golden era of boxing. As I am talking to you right now, I see a picture of me and Duran. I see me looking into Benitez's eyes, a photo of me against Thomas Hearns. All of us paid our dues, and a lot of time was 50-50. Either man could win." The fight between Leonard and Marvin Hagler was different. It wasn't 50-50. Leonard had known he could win because he had seen something in Hagler that nobody else had noticed. The fight became Hagler's last. The defeat was so devastating to him that he never fought again. Leonard had not only won the fight, but had ended the career of one of boxing's greatest champions. The fight had been won through preparation, psychology, and strategy, rather than just physical ability. "I trained for a year and a half for the whole fight," Leonard said, "and I'm scared, and I'm nervous." But when the fight started, Leonard knew his plan was working. "I was so much faster than he was. I was so much faster than Hagler," Leonard explained. "They say, 'You didn't hurt Hagler.' I mean, who hurts Hagler? No one hurts Hagler." 37 years later, Leonard finally revealed the complete shocking truth about fighting Marvin Hagler. It wasn't just about seeing a weakness or having a good game plan. The real truth was much deeper and more personal. Leonard's shocking revelation was that the fight represented everything he had overcome in his life. The addiction, the eye problems, the fear, the doubt. All of it had led to this one moment where he proved that he could still be great. The fight proved that Leonard was more than just a boxer. He was a master strategist who had pulled off one of the greatest upsets in sports history. "I really believed that," Leonard said. I really believed that. This belief, combined with perfect preparation and flawless execution, had made the impossible possible. What do you think was the most shocking part of Leonard's revelation? And do you believe Leonard really knew he could win all along? Or was it just confidence talking? Let us know in the comments below.